Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. This is Jason from Outdoor Adventures. Today we're going to look at what was in my pack for the Laurel Highlands hiking trail adventure. You can use this as a standalone video or as a companion video for that adventure, which you can watch up here if you haven't seen it already. Right off the bat, I want to stress that this is not an ultralight setup. You know, I really want to strive to lower my gear weight next year, and I think just from doing that through hike adventure of the Laurel Highlands hiking trail, I think I have a pretty good roadmap of where I want to take my gear in relation to where I am right now. So again, this is not an ultralight setup. This is basically my gear setup as of October 2014. So without further ado, let's dive right in. To save time in this video, I'm just going to put what everything weighs at the bottom. Every time I bring out a new item, you'll see the weight at the bottom. It'll be in ounces and grams. Or pounds if it's relative, and we will go from there. And basically, I'm going to say what worked for me on the trail, what didn't work for me on the trail, what issues I had with said gear, and what I think I can improve on next year. I think is probably a good start to this. So without further ado, let's dive right into this. So the first items are these CROCS. I attached basically a little continuous loop of 550 cord to a carabiner, just strapped to the outside of the pack just to get them out of the way. You know, they can get wet, whatever. In fact, I use them for water crossings, not necessarily in the Laurel Highlands because it was relatively dry, but basically these are my camp shoes. These let my feet air out. These will let me cross streams if I need to. They are a bit heavy, and I think next year I will just get a pair of lightweight sandals and be done with it. Try to reduce the weight. They are a bit heavy, for their purpose. So these are a pair of Salomon Quest 4D Gore-Tex boots with Superfeet insoles in them. They worked really well. My only issue was on, I think, Monday, the first day, since it was such a long day and it was raining already and it was very, very humid out. My feet were really, really sweating. Especially because I was wearing a sock liner and a sock, which I'll get into in a little bit. But these kept my feet completely dry. You know, they're completely waterproof. They're a great boot. Very, very comfortable. And no problems with them. Next year I may look into a pair of trail runners, though. So we shall see. Let's pop open the mesh pocket, and I'll show you what's in here. Right up. Since it did rain the first 2 days, I do have a North Face rain jacket. You know, it's just your standard rain jacket, nothing fancy. This is a sheet of Tyvek that came in very, very handy. I wasn't sure if the shelter floorboards were, splintered, or I didn't know the conditions. I also use this to drape over a log, to take lunch breaks when it was wet, or even a rock when it was wet, and this definitely came in handy. It was good for the weight. Would never bring this on a weekend trip. Nothing this big. Unless maybe I was staying in a shelter. But usually I'm in a tent or a hammock. So, this is my OSPREY rain cover for this pack. It's self-explanatory. Comes in its own stuff sack. It's fairly light. A little overpriced, but I figure, many people talk about, just put a garbage bag or a trash compactor bag in your backpack itself. Well, that's all well and good, but and it will keep your stuff dry. However, I'm pretty sure a wet pack is going to weigh more than a wet rain cover. So I'll stick with the rain cover. I may be wrong about that. It's just my thought process just tells me that the bag's going to be heavier. So that's it for the front pocket. Let's go to the side pocket. This side of the pockets I have my water filter system, and I showed this in the video. This is the Sawyer Mini filter system right here. Very, very light. Very, very, it doesn't take up a lot of space. I have two 32-ounce bags that I got with this, one for a backup, but they came in handy because I was able just to fill these two bags up and have enough water to fill the bladder and do the cooking for the night. So that really came in handy. This is about $20. I highly recommend everyone get this. It's absolutely an amazing product. Now, I did bring the cleaning plunger for this, you know, just because I was on a week-long trip. I didn't want it to get dirty. I probably wouldn't bring this on a weekend trip, just because, what am I going to filter it twice and then I'd be done. So that's that system. Some 550 cord. I used this for a couple things actually. I used this to dry and air out my clothes. Just basically draped it over, or tied one end to one side of the shelter and the other end to the other side of the shelter. When it was dark, when it became night, I would tie my food bag up with this. You know, tie one end to a rock, throw the rock over a tree limb, and basically tie this to the trunk of the tree. So you should always carry a repair cord anyway. This also makes for an excellent shoelace replacement in case your shoelace breaks, because that would be a terrible thing to happen. This pack towel. I used this once. I guess it's okay for the weight. I mean, it practically weighs nothing. I think the mesh bag actually weighs more than the towel does. It's very fast drying. I only used it once to, like, you know, just take a bath basically, and I'm not sure it was worth it. I could have just used my buff. Speaking of which, this is the buff. Always wear this. It's one of my favorite pieces of gear. You can. I used it as a hat, you know, a skull cap. I used it as a bandana. I used it to clean my pots. I used it, you know, basically everything you can use this for. This is amazing. But as far as the towel, I probably won't bring this anymore. You know, maybe for car camping or something, but it's just not worth it. It's just something else in my pack that I have to keep track of. So, go to the other side now. This side I have my first aid kit, and inside here I basically have some bandages, some cotton swabs, some Neosporin, you know, some heartburn medicine, tweezers, scissors, you know, basically your standard stuff, you know, a signal mirror, and you know, some duct tape attached to an old, I think this is an old gift card or something. You know, I have 25 feet of duct tape on here, so that came in handy. The duct tape came in handy for, you know, blisters. I probably will lighten this a bit. This is a bit heavy. I think it's like, you can see it at the bottom of the screen. But I don't need all these bandages. In fact, I needed a small Band-Aid, and I actually didn't have it, and I ended up using duct tape anyway. So I also have a needle and sewing kit in here too, a small, you know, small needle and thread, just in case, you know, something crazy happens. You know, I gouge my leg and I have to stitch myself up to walk out. So that's the first aid kit. I'll probably go in more depth about the first aid kit in either a separate video or at the end of this video. But for now, let's move on. This is you've all seen this in all my videos actually. The MSR WHISPERLITE. Another one of my favorite pieces of gear. I love this stove. It's absolutely amazing. It gets the job done, and never had an issue with it. Very practical. On this side, I did bring a 21 or a 20 ounce fuel bottle. Now, I only used about, I'd say 9 to 10 ounces of this. The first night and the first morning I was on the trail, I actually was worried that I'd go through this pretty fast, and I really didn't need to be worried at all. I used like 9 to 10 ounces of this. But I was heating everything up over a fire. I mean, even my coffee and my oatmeal in the morning, I was keeping it over a fire. So I was real worried about this, but don't worry, the WHISPERLITE definitely comes through. I mean, I was even cooking rice, and you need to let that simmer for 10 minutes, so highly recommended the WHISPERLITE in the fuel bottle system. These are just a pair of, you know, some old utility gloves I used to carry wood back and forth to the shelter, you know, kind of get my hands dirty without getting them dirty. Don't really need to talk about them much, they're just a pair of gloves. Alright, that's it for the front of the pack. I did bring a 32 ounce Nalgene bottle. Now, I have transitioned over into just bringing, you know, a small plastic Gatorade bottle. And the only reason I brought this was because on Tuesday night, I believe, it was supposed to get down to like 35 to 40 degree range, and my sleeping bag, my comfort rating on my sleeping bag, and I talked about this in the video, it was rated for 41 for comfort, and it had a survival rating of 35. Well, actually it was 32 when I looked and I got back, so I guess I really didn't need it. But the reason why I brought this was so I could put, you know, hot to boiling water in here, and I was going to throw it in the foot box of my sleeping bag in case I was getting chilly at night. I ended up not having to do that, and I ended up even breaking the top of this Nalgene bottle off. So now the lid just comes completely off, just by pulling it out of the bag because I had so much stuff in here. So I don't usually bring this. I have brought it in most of my videos that you've probably seen, but I have transitioned to a lighter system. I mean, these Nalgenes are really heavy. Let's get these out of the way too. These are my Black Diamond, I think they're called the Trailback trekking poles. You know, they're 80 bucks. They've lasted me almost a year now. No signs of really wearing yet. Didn't use these too much. However, when I did need them, they were there for me going up some hills, especially on the last day. They really came in handy. I highly recommend trekking poles. Most of the Laurel Highlands is flat though, so really I only needed this like the first and the last day. So maybe I could have gotten away by not carrying these and saved, you know, a little over a pound. But they were there as a security thing for me, so they were there as a comfort item for me. So there you go. All right, let's dive into the main compartment of the pack. This is my fleece. This is a North Face Momentum fleece, I believe. I slept in this because it was a little chilly for that bag. You know, I slept in it basically unzipped, but it gave me that extra warmth where I could just leave my hands out and not have to be in the mummy bag with the hood zipped up completely. And it's really warm. I think it's like 17 ounces, and it was a great little fleece. So, you know, it's a fleece. Alright, moving right along here. I did bring my hammock. Now, you haven't seen this, nobody's seen this in a video yet, and I'm hoping to do an adventure with this soon here. I brought this as a just-in-case item. This is the Hennessy Expedition ASIM hammock. And inside I have the hammock, and I have my E&O Atlas straps, and a couple carabiners. Now, the reasons I brought this as basically an emergency shelter, and this was for if there was a complete downpour, I could just set up the hammock, you know, find a couple trees, set up the hammock, put up the tarp, and just, you know, kind of wait it out, maybe take a nap midday and just, you know, just wait it out. I didn't want to be walking in the rain if it was that crazy. Didn't have to use this. Was thinking about setting it up, but then I realized it would probably make the outdoor adventure really long, and I wanted to make sure I showed everybody this the first time I used it. So we will check this out at a later date. This is the E&O tarp that I kept. You've seen her. I have a review about this in case anyone's interested. This is the ProFly rain tarp, and that goes with the hammock. This also was not used. So I could have saved a lot of weight by just not taking that shelter system, but it was good to have that peace of mind that just in case I had a backup shelter. The next item is my cook set, and we will dive right into this. This is my TOAKS 1100 milliliter pot with a little pan. Didn't really use the pan. However, it's very good to just, you know, put like oatmeal in there in the morning, you know, so you can measure it out correctly, but not really needed. I may look at getting a different pot with just like a lid, but for now this is just fine. This is titanium, doesn't weigh a lot, and I really like it actually. I have a windscreen that I've put inside the pot. This is a little heavy for what it does. I'm thinking about taking a couple panels off and you know, saving a couple ounces, but we shall see in another video. I did bring a pot scrubber. Could have just used my fingers or some sticks, some leaves, whatever. But I figured I got oatmeal. if I couldn't find a stream or didn't have water to clean the oatmeal off, then this served its purpose. This is my cup, and now if you're saying, well, Jason, why did you bring a pot and a cup? Well, that's a simple question, or there's a simple answer for that question, I should say. I drank my coffee out of this, and I ate my oatmeal out of this. So, cheers, I guess. This is my spork, my titanium TOAKS spork. Works out good. Could be better, though. As an emergency backup, I also brought my ESBIT solid fuel stove and a couple of fuel cubes. So this is just this real small stove in case I needed to heat, some ramen or some coffee up in the morning. Basically, this was in case I ran out of white gas in my WHISPERLITE. Didn't happen by a long shot, and I never ended up even opening this. So I could possibly have saved the 0.2 ounces that this cost, but wasn't a big deal. Not a big deal at all. And I did bring 4 or 5 solid fuel cubes that fit inside the cup. Okay, moving along. We'll go into this in a second. Let's get the clothes out of the way. I got this REI dry bag and this Sea to Summit dry bag. They weigh a couple ounces each, but they kept everything waterproofed, and I didn't have to worry about it whenever I took them out for lunch. Everything was kind of organized, and I like that. Could have just probably put this in a gallon Ziploc bag, but this would have been harder to hang up, and I like this system better. Okay, so basically for clothing, I brought 2 pairs of basically everything I'm about to show you. And they're basically everything's the same. Maybe some were different colors, but that's it. First item, pair of pants, Columbia quick drying zip-off pants. These are, your standard zip-off pants. They're very fast drying. They're synthetic. We have wool socks, and under these I actually had little sock liners. Now these are freaking awesome. These stopped a lot of blisters from happening, and basically they are just dress socks. Okay, they're just synthetic dress socks. You put this on your foot first, and you put your sock on, and these reduce the friction your main sock has on your foot to your boot. And the only blister I got was on the bottom of my little toe, and I'm not sure what even caused that, but I'm sure it was just the way I was walking in the rough terrain. But I think it could have been a lot worse. I've experienced a lot worse before I bought these stock liners, and they did a great job. I'll definitely be keeping them around. They weigh practically nothing, and they were real comfortable. Now the only downside to having 2 socks on, especially in the summer or the fall or the spring, is that your feet are going to sweat a lot more. Fortunately, both these socks are moisture wicking. Unfortunately, Gore-Tex boots aren't the most breathable boot that you can buy. A pair of ex officio, I hope I'm saying that right, antimicrobial, antibacterial boxers. These are really comfortable, actually, and I'm not going to talk too much about them. They are fairly overpriced, in my opinion, but they give you that peace of mind that they're going to keep you clean. So definitely on these. And I did bring 2 pairs of these and alternated them every day. And I also washed all my clothes in the streams every second day. Here I have one of my 2 shirts that I brought. These are just, standard synthetic Champion athletic shirts. I carried this and a blue one, and I just basically alternate those every couple days. They kept me warm, a little too warm sometimes, but they do the job. They're very cheap, and they work. Now I'm gonna make everybody cringe in a second, and I'll tell you why. This is a cotton shirt. Now you say, Jason, why are you wearing cotton when you're hiking? That is a no-no. Yes, you're right. However, these are very comfortable to wear in your sleeping bag, especially when it's a little chilly out. And I wasn't sweating at the time. I would never wear these things hiking. I wouldn't advise anyone wear any kind of cotton hiking. just due to the fact that they don't, they're not in the moisture wicking at all. But cotton shirt and cotton PJs. Kept me incredibly warm. They're very comfy. My clothes were getting pretty dirty, especially on the first couple of days when it was raining, and it was nice knowing that I could just change into these. As far as food goes, what I would do every night is I would roll this up, clip it, and then I would tie a 550 cord, tie a 550 cord to a rock, throw it over a tree limb, and I would basically hang this bag as high as I possibly could. Keep bears away. Okay, and so in here I have my toiletries, Body Glide, for chafing. It works out really well. You can rub it all over your body wherever you think you're going to get chafing. I have a small travel toothpaste tube. I have unscented deodorant. I have, well, let's just take this stuff out. I have Camp Suds in here. I know it says Purell, but I'll tell you why. Camp Suds comes out really good in here, and it doesn't weigh a lot. I use this to wash my pots and my clothes. And I have Purell in here because this is a 5-hour energy bottle. And no, I didn't drink that crap. I dumped it right out. And basically, this was nice just to, you get to camp, you're you're cooking, and you want to eat, and basically just make sure your hands are clean, and it worked out really well. It's also flammable, in case anyone didn't know this, so it was a good backup fire starter as well. And just, toothbrush kept in a little plastic baggie all to itself, so it didn't get any other kind of gross stuff on it. Okay, now that we got rid of that, as far as the food goes, every morning I would wake up and I would eat oatmeal and a cereal bar. I believe I took like Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal bars. And it was really good. While I was basically waiting for the oatmeal to heat up, I was eating a cereal bar. And it worked out really, really well. I would, these are Keurig Cafe Mocha coffees. It's basically, hot chocolate and caffeine. And those worked out great. It was nice to warm up with these. And I wouldn't keep these in this container. I'd cut this out and put it in a little plastic baggie and just spoon it out into into my cup. And they worked out great. I would have a Cliff Bar for a snack before lunch. And then for lunch, I would alternate between ramen and instant rice with tuna. And these two items alternating back and forth worked out really well. When I was in a hurry, I would eat the ramen just because it was really fast to cook. Boil water, crush it up, put it in the pot, wait 5 minutes, and then you're done. The rice, these boil-in-a-bag rices, you can just slap this in some boiling water, let it sit for 10 minutes on simmer on your stove, and then put the tuna on. This was really, really good. This gave me a lot of energy as far as this tuna. One of these packages actually has 110 calories, and the rice actually has 90 calories. And this works out really good. I'm really weak in the food department when it comes to camping, so I'm learning more about this stuff. This is a relatively new concept, and I've only done this about on 2 or 3 trips now, but I really like it. So I also overpacked a lot, and I brought 6 baggies of these trail mixes, which I only ate, I think, maybe 2 of these bags. So this weighs a good amount as far as these baggies are concerned. I also brought too many Cliff Bars. I brought 2 Cliff Bars per day, plus 1 of these, plus lunch, breakfast, and dinner, plus 2 Gatorade packets, which these are really good to replenish electrolytes, and I highly recommend these. These are, what are these? Glacier Freeze, low-calorie G2 Gatorade replacements, or electrolyte replacements. And those worked out really well. Some days I'd actually alternate the Cliff Bars with peanut M&Ms. These are excellent. These have actually a lot of calories. There's 2 servings in here at 240 calories a serving, so this is where it's at if you want to take some light snacks. This is what you got to do. And then finally, for lunch or for dinner every night, I would have a Mountain House, and I would alternate. This is beef stroganoff. I would have chicken with rice, or lasagna and meatball. Basically a variety of mountain houses. Okay, so I think that's the main part of the pack. Now let's go to the sleep system. You guys have seen this before. I've done a review on this. This is the Thermarest Neo Air X-Therm. It is a great, incredibly comfortable, warm, compact sleeping pad. I highly recommend this. And it's a 4-season pad. So this is my sleeping bag. It's a Mountain Hardwear Lamina 35. The actual survivor rating on this is 32. I found that after I got home. The comfort rating is 41. Personally, I was comfortable down to 37 degrees, and that was without a fire. That was with me sleeping away from the fire, in a shelter with the wind blowing in at me. So probably 35 degrees comfort for men's on here, depending on if you sleep hot or cold. For me, I think I sleep a little bit on the warmer side, but I'll be giving a better review on this in a little bit. And finally, one of my favorite items, my Cocoon Ultralight Aircore Pillow. This thing is super light, under, I think, like 3 ounces for this thing. And it is so comfortable, and I can't not tell you how much I love this. I tell you in the video that, yeah, I know I should be using my clothes bag, but this is where it's at. For me, at least now. I have inside my pack, I have a 2-liter water bladder by OSPREY. It's an OSPREY Hydraulics bladder. That worked out really well for me. I think 2 liters was a good size. I think 3 would have been a little overkill. The pack is an OSPREY ATMOS 65. I love this pack. I love the suspension system on this pack. My back was never sweaty. It's completely adjustable, and it lets air flow through the sides of your pack, and it basically gives you great ventilation. Okay, so now let's go to the top lid. We have a Tika XP2, basically a headlamp. Works out really good. It has a red light function, or a low light function, and I use this, as I was leaving the shelter. I didn't really need it on any night hiking because I got to camp well before any kind of darkness happened, and love this thing. It's really good, and it's really good on batteries too. It takes 3 AAAs, and it's amazing on battery life. Sticking with the headlamp theme, this is my Black Diamond Orbit. It's just your standard camp lantern. It's not too bright. It's really good. It's dimmable. Basically, I use this to see my way back if I left the shelter for any reason, not whether to go to the bathroom or collect more firewood. I bring this because my friend told me a horror story about his aunt that hiked the entire Appalachian Trail, and she went out to go to the bathroom one night, and she didn't bring a headlamp, and she couldn't find her way back to the shelter, so she had to call out for help. And it took her a while to actually have the people that were at the shelter with her guide her back into camp. So, plus it acted as a good light for me to set up camp and tear down camp, since I was leaving really early, and sometimes I go to bed pretty late. So, what else? This is my electronics bag. Now, I would keep the electronics up here, and in this bag I have my Anker 12,000 milliamp external battery charger. This thing's really cool. I really like this. It has 3 USB ports to charge your stuff, and it's really, really nice. No moving parts. You shake it to turn it on. It's amazing. I really like it. It's a little heavy, but it's definitely worth it in my opinion, especially for a long week trip. I was 35% battery power in that thing by my 6th and final day, so it worked out really well. I have a couple battery chargers for the MP3 player, my phone, and whatever else I needed to plug in. And I wouldn't usually bring the MP3 player charger, nor would I bring, an extra cable, but I just wanted to make sure I had everything charged, wanted to make sure I got a good video, wanted to keep everything charged, and the last day I actually ended up charging 3 devices off of this thing, so it worked out very well. The Fitbit, which I use to, basically I use it as a watch only. You know, it was nice to keep track of my steps, but keep in mind it is just a glorified pedometer. It's not really that accurate. I would put it on my pack and I would just check the time or leave it in my sleeping bag and know when I was going to get up in the morning. This is my SanDisk Sansa, my MP3 player. No iPods here, folks. I do not like iTunes whatsoever. And basically I had the Lord of the Rings books on here and I listened to them, and they were a good time waster. Basically I was able to relax and just listen to a book, enjoy the fire, and I'll be bringing this everywhere. This is only 0.8 ounces for the whole setup, so highly recommend you know, something light like this. You know, something, I think this is only like, you know, 30-40 bucks. You know, it doesn't have a big screen on it, so it can't be cracked. You know, it's fairly primitive as far as MP3 features go these days, but what do I need it for? I need it to play music in MP3s or audiobooks. So that worked out real well. This is my battery charger for my camera, because since Nikon does not let you just plug in your camera USB, I have no idea why. They are a bunch of jerks, but this works for me too. And I have some extra AAA batteries, since my headlamp and my Black Diamond Orbit all take the same type of batteries. Alright, what else I have in here? I think that's it. Now, what I would do every morning, or what I would do before I went to bed, I would plan what meals I had for the next day, and I would put them in a Ziploc bag, and I would leave it, you know, after the morning when I took down my food bag, I would put that bag in this top pouch so I could easily access my food without having to go in the main compartment and open up the dry bags. So that worked out really well. I'll be doing that a lot now that I kind of have that organization system in my head. Alright, so I believe the last pocket, well, one of the last pockets, I have fire starter. These are just, you know, cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly, some Vaseline. They work out really good. They burn about 5 to 7 minutes if you're lucky. And I was able to get fire every night except for the first night when everything was wet. These worked out great. I have a standard Sunto compass. You can adjust for declination in here, or with this thing, and you know, this is just a just-in-case thing. Just throw it in your pack and kind of forget about it. And one of my other favorite items of the trip, these prove to be absolutely amazing. These are just some earplugs. When I was at Route 31, I had that construction going on all night. These saved my butt, along with some sleeping pills, and you know, I couldn't really hear anything. These are amazing. Never take these out of my pack. These are a must. So, okay, and finally, oh, I forgot to talk about this. This is my bear spray system. This is just a, you know, frontiersman bear attack deterrent. And the only reason I brought this, it wasn't necessarily for bears. It was basically to spray people that are absolutely crazy, if I met any of those people. Or, you know, coyotes, or, you know, anything else that wants to take something from me, whether it be food, my life, or any of my gear. They would get a short blast right in the face, and that'd be the end of it. I know some people like to carry handguns. I'm not at that point yet where I feel that's necessary. I'm okay with just carrying this. I have yet to see a bear, but when I see one, hopefully this will make me more prepared for the situation. So this weighs a lot, though. I think this is like 14 or 15 ounces. So I may be dropping this and you know, just start stabbing people in case I need to. But bear spray, I'll keep it for now. Alright, and finally, camera batteries, and I would put dead batteries in this bag so I can kind of keep them separate. This worked out really well. I kept this in my hip pocket, and worked out excellent. I also brought, you know, chapstick, and I think that's it. Oh, and a lighter, a backup lighter. I always carry a lighter and a knife with me. And this is actually the knife I brought with me. This is the one I carry every day. It's just your Gerber spring-loaded folding knife. And I had a lighter in my pocket and a lighter backup in my pack, just in case. Things I would have done differently on this trip was I would have probably left the spare batteries at home. I didn't need to use them. I got new batteries before I stepped out onto the trail. I probably should lose the CROCS, like I stated. I could have brought the 10-ounce bottle of fuel, as long as I had some extra fuel just in case situation. You know, I could always put my pot over the water and boil it that way. That would have reduced the weight a lot. 2-liter bladder, I'm definitely cool with carrying. Not the Nalgene though, I don't need it. I will be using the Nalgene in the wintertime. That's about it, guys. Like I said, that's not ultralight system by any means. This system weighs about, I'd say it has a 24 pound base weight. I'll add everything up just to make sure about that and post it right here. And for this, when I first stepped out on the trail, my 6-day bag weight, you know, full weight walking on the trail weight was about 41 to 42 pounds. So it was a bit heavy, but I probably could have cut that down by 5 or 6 pounds just from, you know, not bringing useless items that I didn't even really use. You know, the hammock, you know, the tarp. The tarp was nice just in case for rain, but I didn't end up using it. So the hammock, the tarp, the Nalgene bottle, the pajamas, the cotton t-shirt, and the extra batteries. I think I could have cut down a lot of weight. But you know what? I had a great time. It worked. If anybody has any questions, or if anybody wants to nicely critique my gear and maybe tell me, you know, an alternate on what I could do, by all means, I'm always willing to chat. I'm always willing to talk. I'm always willing to help anybody out to the best of my ability. So please like, subscribe, comment, and find me on Facebook. Send me a message, whatever you want to do. This is Jason from Outdoor Adventures. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps somebody.